Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're jumping straight into an explainer that breaks down a narrative pulled right from our source files, and look, it is pure nightmare fuel. We're looking at a sequence of events that practically writes the textbook on how a horror story unfolds. So let's set the scene. It's exactly 11 p.m. A guy named Ali, along with 3 of his friends, makes the incredibly reckless choice to go camping near a notoriously dense old jungle. Right off the bat, we've got the ultimate recipe for disaster. Now, the very first thing we have to talk about is this incredibly ominous warning they got from the village elders. They were explicitly told, don't go into that jungle after sunset. The trees speak there. It's a fascinating bit of local lore. But how do you think this group reacted? Yep, they completely brushed it off. They treated this grave, multi-generational warning like it was just a silly joke. And as we dig into this, keep that dismissal in mind, because ignoring that local knowledge totally sets the stage for the psychological collapse that's about to hit them. So they actually cross the tree line, and almost instantly, the atmosphere just shifts. The source material emphasizes this absolute unnatural silence. We're talking no birds chirping, literally zero sound of wind rustling through the leaves. Nothing. The only sound is the rhythmic, isolated crunch of their own footsteps. This kind of sudden sensory deprivation is a huge psychological trigger. It completely cuts the group off from the normal world outside. As they're walking through this total void, they hit their first undeniable red flag, an old, ruined wooden cabin. But it's what is written on the door that is truly stopping them in their tracks. Scrawled in this chilling, blood-red color is a highly specific threat. Turn back before it knows your name. I mean, that's not exactly your standard keep out sign, right? It feels deeply personal and highly predatory. Now, despite this literal blood-red warning, Ali tries to play the tough guy. He jokingly pushes the door open. Inside, it looks pretty much like you'd expect. Thick, undisturbed dust covering absolutely everything. But then, they notice something that completely shatters reality. Sitting right there in the dust is a single chair, and it's slowly rocking back and forth, all by itself. Remember, there's absolutely no wind outside, no draft, just a self-rocking chair sitting in a dead silent room. While they're standing there trying to wrap their heads around this impossible sight, the tension totally snaps. Imagine the pure, suffocating dread when a quiet, disembodied whisper calls out from directly behind Ali, just his name, Ali. The source notes that this voice is incredibly soft but totally distinct. It's right over his shoulder. This basically proves that whatever threat was written on that door now officially knows exactly who it's dealing with. Here is where things go off the rails. Ali whips around to confront whoever just whispered in his ear, and there's no one. The space behind him is totally empty. This is the exact moment their whole casual, joking demeanor completely evaporates. The situation escalates incredibly fast. Ali turns, sees nothing, the friends finally start to panic, and worst of all, that previously dead silent forest suddenly wakes up. The horror ramps up instantly. It's no longer just one whisper behind him. Suddenly, thousands of unseen voices start echoing Ali's name from every dark corner of the jungle. It sounds like this massive, invisible crowd has surrounded them, just chanting his name in unison. That warning from the elders about the tree speaking, well, it just manifested into a literal auditory nightmare. Naturally, fight or flight kicks in, and they choose flight. They absolutely bolt. But their frantic escape runs headfirst into a terrifying reality. They are stuck in an endless spatial loop. It's like the geometry of the jungle has fundamentally broken. It doesn't matter what direction they run or how fast they go, the path just loops right back on itself. And that same creepy wooden house keeps appearing right in front of them, over and over again. While they're trapped in this impossible loop, one of the friends suddenly lets out this blood-curdling scream. The group screeches to a halt, they look back, and he's simply gone. No struggle, no sound of dragging, he just vanished into the dark. The only thing left behind is his flashlight, just sitting on the ground, casting this eerie beam into the empty trees. If we track the timeline of the night, you see this really grim pattern. They're being systematically hunted. They walked in as a group of 4. After the loop and that first disappearance, they're down to 3. This isn't just random chaos, it is methodical attrition. The panic is completely absolute at this point, and the remaining 3 just refuse to stop running. So we need to talk about what exactly is hunting them. Out of the trees, this massive silhouette emerges. The source describes it as a tall, dark entity with glowing red eyes that just pierce right through the pitch black. But here's the most physics-defying, terrifying detail. The faster the guys run away from it, the closer it actually gets to them. It literally feeds on their momentum. It's weaponizing their own flight response against them. Because of this impossible pursuit, the pacing just accelerates wildly. The shadow closes the distance, and the inevitable happens. A second friend screams out in the dark. And just like the first one, he vanishes completely into the blackness. So now, out of the original 4, it's just down to Allie and one last friend. Up ahead in the distance, through the trees, they finally see the exit. It is right there. They are pushing their bodies to the absolute limit in a desperate sprint for safety. But the outcome is totally split. Allie manages to push through the tree line and stumble out of the jungle. But his last remaining friend doesn't make it. He is left behind, trapped in the dark. The aftermath of all this is honestly just as chilling as the event itself. Ollie immediately alerts the authorities, and the police launch a massive, full-scale search the very next day. They comb through the entire jungle. And what do they find? Absolutely zero. No bodies, no scraps of clothing, no footprints, no physical traces whatsoever. It is literally as if those 3 friends were just wiped from existence. Well, actually, scratch that. They did find one thing. Remember that blood-red text on the cabin door we talked about earlier? The police find a sinister new message written on that exact same door. Now it reads, "One left, one stayed forever." That horrifying little update basically confirms the dreadful fate of that final friend who was right on Allie's heels. The jungle kept its prize. Allie survived, and he swore he would never, ever look toward that jungle again. He carries the incredibly heavy weight of being the sole survivor. And you'd think that escaping the tree line meant he finally escaped the nightmare, right? But according to our source material, the horror didn't actually end that night. Which brings us to one final chilling thought to leave you with. Every single year, on the exact anniversary of that horrific night, Allie's phone rings. It's always an unknown caller. And when he answers, he hears that exact same disembodied whisper from the cabin. "Allie, come back." If the police found absolutely no physical trace of his friends in that jungle, what exactly is waiting on the other end of the line? Thanks for walking through this dark explainer with me today. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you in our next one.